name is Samantha Mowat. I'm a clairvoyant psychic and a contactee. And tonight I'd like to talk to you about an ET encounter, or a multidimensional encounter rather, that has changed my life in a way in which I never could have predicted it occurring. You see, this encounter occurred on June 7th, 2014, and when this encounter occurred, I had gone to bed that night, and my soul was astral projecting out of my body. And rather than staying astral projecting around Earth, where you're able to go see different areas around this planet, or see people you know, such as your friends or family and what they're up to, my soul found itself pulled towards Tegeta in the Pleiades. And when I found myself there, I noticed it was bright, it was sunny, and I suddenly found myself inside a building. Now this building, not being, was different than a lot of the other buildings that I had encountered recently while astral projecting. I found that it was bright, but it was not similar to craft because there was furniture. There were these crystalline walls. The building felt very safe and secure in the sense that it felt like as the building was initially constructed, that consciousness of one form or another was placed into the different ways the building was put together, and that it had an awareness of where everything was. And I know I'm not explaining this very well right now, so please bear with me. But it's almost as though when the building was being put together, everything was done precisely and perfectly and was going to be lasting for a very long time. It was very thoughtful construction and done with materials that would last for, oh God, I want to say eons, because they felt like they were very crystalline in a lot of ways. But getting back to the point, I remember seeing these very beautiful plants outside as I looked through the area. It was almost like you're looking out of windows, but there's no glass. I didn't see anything like that. It was rather like there was a window frame. And as I'm walking down this hallway, I suddenly find myself having this man walk beside me, and I had this instant sense of recognition within his energy field. I felt like I knew him instantly. This was someone that I have known for many, many lifetimes, for thousands of years. And as soon as I saw him, he picked me up, and he twirled me around, and he said, "How's it going, kid? How's school going this time?" And I laughed and I said something along the lines of, "It's not school. You know that's not what it is." And I remember him feeling very playful towards me, wanting me to laugh and enjoy and really focus on where my energy was going, rather than getting stuck in that energetic pattern that we often find ourselves on, well, kind of embedded in here on Earth. And so I remember that as he picked me up, I looked at him. Oh, being what, like this. Anyway, when he was picking me up, I noticed his reddy brown hair, and I noticed these reddy green eyes, and as soon as I saw him, I knew him, and I recognized him, and I felt at home, and I realized that this is someone who I have a much deeper connection than a soulmate connection to. I have met several of my soulmates, people that I have past life connections with via marriage or past life loves, or people I have karma with on a romantic level, and that felt very, very different from the energy that I shared with this man. This man felt like he was an essence that was very similar to mine, someone who I felt more than a kinship with, but almost as though he was the other half of me. Now, I know that sounds very romantic, and in one sense very juvenile and very staged, and I understand that. But this didn't have the energy of a stage-managed dream. This didn't feel as though it was a love bite scenario. This didn't feel like it was a past life memory. It felt like I was very lucky and was able to view someone that I had not seen in hundreds, if not a couple thousand years. And as I looked into this man's eyes, I knew this man. This was the man that I was married to when I got stuck here. This is the man who was expecting me to come home one day, but I've been trapped in this reincarnation cycle, as many of you have. when we came to this planet, be it through volunteering or through circumstance that was out of our control. When I looked at this man, I felt like I was at home, and I really didn't want to leave. And it really hurts to think about him. And sometimes, when I do feel his energy presence around me, or when I feel as though he's sending energy to me if I'm going through a tough period in life, like I'm going through right now with a dear family member of mine getting ready to pass from this world onto the next, it can make it very difficult, because I find that since this encounter occurred, I've had love bite scenarios going on where different extraterrestrial groups have been trying to place men that are similar in appearance or similar in energetic frequency to this man. I've had other Pleiadian starseeds contact me who feel like they have this instant kinship with me, who have a very similar energy, and it can be a little bit frustrating knowing that different extraterrestrial groups who enjoy manipulating humanity, who enjoy messing with our minds and our energetic fields, will do things such as stage managed dreams, or even changing the energetic relationship between yourself and a friend in order to try to make you think that one of your friends or co-workers or things of that nature is actually the person that you encountered a long time ago, many lifetimes ago, and now you're just remembering. For me, I found that these beings, I hate to say it, but it doesn't matter how psychic you are and how well you can read energy, we all are human in this lifetime, and we are easy to manipulate on many levels. But I did find that my psychic abilities have helped provide me with a better discernment about who is and who isn't in that same energetic relationship to me. I have met many of my soul family, but I lost one of my favorite people in life. He and I just quite simply can't really be friends because we've had ETs attempting to push onto me that this man, this friend that is actually here on Earth, was this being that I saw in the Pleiades. And they are so good at manipulating our energy field and manipulating our dreamscape and our astral experiences that we can actually believe them at times. So you do have to be very careful. I do have a suggestion for those of you who are going through a love bite scenario or a twin flame situation, or even that obsessive relationship situation where you're seeing someone in the astral and you're thinking about them and there's synchronicity overload when it comes to their name or their phone number or lookalikes to them, things of that nature. I do recommend that you really use discernment and you stop and feel the energetic frequencies that are around you, because we do have beings out there that will manipulate our energetic field and our partner's energetic field and place us in unhealthy relationships or create what's known as divine obsession. So you may be wondering, okay, what do I mean by divine obsession? Well, what I don't like about energy, in one sense, is if you are able to play with energy and you are able to manipulate energy. So let's say you're like me, so you'll be sitting on a plane or a SkyTrain or in the car and you'll be like, oh, okay, I want to play with energy. And so you'll put out one of your hands, and when you do this, you can start to feel energy swirling and it's going unto itself. It's almost like you've got a ball forming and rolling, and almost like it's cascading into itself in a lot of ways. And you can take that ball of energy and you can move it up your arm, and as you do it, you'll feel the energetic shift and change, and then you can move it back down. Well, that's you beginning to play with energy, manipulate energy, use energy. And most people don't even know how to do that, but when you start to play with it more, you can move it from your hand, up your arm, across your chest, down your other arm into your other hand. Or if you have tingly feet or tingly legs, you can take the energy that's in your hands and move it down to your tingly feet to help alleviate the tingliness. But getting back to point, these beings have an understanding of energy that we don't have, because they are raised with it. It is a normal part of their society, their culture, their awareness in day-to-day life. And if we are better able to understand the nature of energy and the way in which it can be used, we can have a better understanding of how they are able to use energy, well, to be very honest, against us. So it can be a bit of a challenging situation in a lot of ways. So for me, one thing that I've really learned around all this is when you have a lot of dream scenarios where you're finding yourself seeing someone that you know, and you didn't have the initial energetic remembrance towards them of a romantic nature when you first meet them, but you're obsessed with them now, you might want to take into account that it could be a love bite. So for me, shortly after I had this contact experience where I saw this man that I know on a soul level, and I had that deep, strong connection to him, I found my astral dreams start to change. In this encounter on June 7th when I saw him, I didn't remember his face, I didn't remember his name, but I remembered the energetic signature in which he was emitting. And I remembered a few key details around him, things like him being well built on an energy level, as in his energetic body is stable and consistent, there were no holes to his aura, things of that nature. I remember him feeling like he was a very strong, playful energy, someone who loved learning and understanding things as much as I do. But I found that they started to bring people into my life who were manipulative. People who, within I think it was a month after this encounter, I had one young man come to me for a reading, and upon meeting this young man, I sensed there was something within his energetic body that felt like it was pushing its energy onto me. So, have you ever talked to someone who's a lot taller than you, and they kind of lean in to talk to you? It was kind of like that in a lot of ways, where this young man, it felt like his energetic presence was trying to loom over my energy field and really evaluate, and it felt like a little bit invasive, to be honest. And at first I thought nothing of it. I thought, okay, well, he's just really curious about psychic abilities and energy and things of that nature. But I found that when this young man was in my presence, he activated my energy body somehow. And typically people shouldn't be able to do that unless they are very aware of energy and psychic abilities and things of that nature. But this young man was in the trades, so typically they don't go hand in hand. Now, this young man came to see me every week for I think it was almost 2 months or something like that, wanting to have a reading done. And after 3 or 4 sessions, a little red flag went up, because our discussions had gone from talking about, okay, what's coming up for him in the next year, what does he need to be aware of, understanding energy, to being completely different. It went from that to him wanting to talk to me and connect to me, and it felt like his energy presence was starting to almost like latch on or try to hook into my aura. And when someone's doing that, it feels kind of odd, because you'll find they'll pop into your head at the weirdest times and you won't be able to get them out of your mind. And that didn't feel natural to me. It didn't feel like something I had experienced previously. And the odd thing was, I didn't have romantic feelings towards this young man, and it didn't feel like it was necessarily, I don't know, it felt a little bit odd, and I can't describe it at this moment. And so, one time, I think it was the last time I chose to give him a reading, his energy really threw me off, because I started to see this larger energetic form behind his auric body. I started to see an outline which was slightly darker and quite a bit larger than what was initially behind his aura. So when you're looking at someone and it's a plain wall behind them, you'll be able to see almost like a faint glow or a haze that is around their body. Well, that is you beginning to see their aura. But with him I saw that haze and that glow, but then there was something else that was almost like it was looming behind it, something that was standing behind his energy. And I remember feeling very, very uncomfortable by this. I felt I, I didn't know the energy signature of reptilians at that time, but looking back now, I can see that this young man did have a reptilian entity that was attached to him, and this entity was very curious and wanting to figure, okay, well, what can she see? Okay, what is she able to perceive? Things of that nature. And it took me telling him that I would not give him any more readings and blocking him number-wise and phone, well, not just phone number, but phone number, email, even asking the store that I was working out of at the time to just not allow him to book any more readings. And it was a very uncomfortable situation because he had emailed me and texted me quite a few times for the next day or so. But eventually he did get the message when I didn't respond. That was really the first time I had encountered a being like that was behind his behind someone's energetic field, that wasn't a guide, that was obviously of a more multidimensional nature, rather than something like a spirit guide or an angelic being or a deceased loved one or someone that's in the lower astral and just hanging out by them. There is a difference. But the sun is starting to starting to go down, and it's actually getting quite dark. So I'm going to have to let you go, but it was lovely talking to you,